Here's a question for you. Have you ever found a thing? Would you know what to do if you did find a thing? Do you actively go around seeking out things? You may want to watch on to find out what I'm talking about.
Warhammer 40k!
Guys, this episode of Warhammer 40k is all about things. Now, things you're thinking, what could I be talking about? If you've read the title of the video, you probably know the sort of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like this. And things like this. And things like this even. Look at that. Amazing. So yeah, I'm talking about like trash terrain. Trash terrain is a very good thing. Here's something else. Amazing. Yeah, so I've got loads of things here. You have an eye for things like me. When I'm walking around, whether it's walking to the shops, walking through a car park, walking through work, anywhere, I see things and in my head it's like, what's that? That looks useful. That looks like it could be a bit of terrain, a bit of something on the battlefield detritus or anything. This, I picked it up the other day. It was in the yard in work and it's just an interesting shape. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got 8. It's an octagon shape. And I thought, it just looks like an interesting thing. So I picked it up and I put it in my pocket. And then I remembered it was in my pocket when I got home, when I found it in my pocket with my car keys. I was like, what's that? I was like, oh, it's a thing. So yeah, I'm going to use that for some piece of terrain or something in the future. I should really get a box to put all my things in. But for some reason, I just put them down somewhere in my house and then I find them again a few years later or a few months later. We'll see. Let's talk about something that I actually know what this thing is. So the reason I picked this up, it's a leg from under a kitchen unit. It's cracked there, so like I took it home from work. So it's broken. They can't use it in work. And yeah, what I'm going to use it for is like a stanchion for Shadow War Armageddon terrain. You can make it smaller, larger, whatever. For some homemade Shadow War Armageddon terrain. Or something in the style of that gantry terrain, basically. If I can find a few more of the broken ones of these, I can put them all at different heights and stuff as well, which is really good. It gives my my battlefield a different depth, a different height and everything. That's another piece off that. This one's been broken off a unit. That's like an ankle piece. This piece slots into it. This is how it works in kitchens. There we go, and then you adjust that. And that's what sits under your kitchen unit in your kitchen. If you take away the kickboards, have a look, you'll see these little legs underneath. I think most kitchens are built the same way like that. There's things like this. I didn't even show you this before. It's a light bulb. A light bulb from a truck. In my mind, it's like, oh, that could be a really good piece of a custom force field. For a stomper or something like that. It's obviously a bit big for a Big Mac to be carrying around. It's about the same size as the Big Mac. But, from a custom force field or like some kind of an energy weapon, spray the end of it, it's the right sort of shape. Something like that. It doesn't have to be a bit of terrain. It can be something that you can use on one of your models. Let's move on to this thing. Not this thing, but this thing. So this is this little piping. It was in my sister's couch, in her old couch. And I think what she did, she shoved it down the side in between the arm of the couch and the actual seating bit of the couch. And it held on, or it helped secure this coloured cover she had. So I don't know if she got it with the cover or if it came with the couch or what, but she didn't go out and buy it. It was with it. It was with the couch basically. So yeah, this is like just ideal for. It's about the same size as that. This is some of the Promethean relay piping. So it's going to work perfectly with like loads of different bits of terrain. That. And when you take this as well, you can take this out. I'll leave it in for the time being, but yeah, that fits in there quite well as well. So I could even use that as some piece of piping if I wanted to. Some more Promethean relay piping or just battlefield piping in general. The great thing about this though is it's flexible. So I can take it out of something, bend it down, and then put it to the ground, or whatever. It's very very handy. I've got 2 of these. I can see the other one over there. Yes, and now I want to talk to you about this. This is like they talk about dragon glass in Game of Thrones. And dragon glass, I think, is basically obsidian, which if I'm well informed, I don't know if I am, how well informed I am, but if I'm well informed, I think obsidian is basically like a rock, a glassy-like rock that's formed under intense heat. And I think that's what this is. But this is like from man-made materials rather than just naturally occurring in nature. I think this is formed when in the place where I work, there's been like fires in the yard in the past where they've been getting rid of rubbish or whatever. And I think this has formed under it. There's loads of it in work, and it's not just black. There's like this turquoisey sort of colour one. And I think like depending on what chemicals are in it, makes the colour change basically. And the interesting thing about this is you can chip bits off. I picked this up like not as like a terrain piece, but just as like an interesting basing material. I could smash it up and then just use it on bases, like character bases. You can see different areas. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this to focus, am I? But there's different areas where there's like, it looks like there's been bits chipped off, which is the interesting thing about it for me. So yeah, there's loads of things around. There's things that we all have as well, which I'm going to talk about now. Things like this. Sprue. There's loads of sprue I've got. This is sprue from Primaris Marines. You may have seen in yesterday's video when I was showing you how I was getting on with the Primaris Marines. That I stick the Primaris Marines to sprue now and use them when I'm base coating them. I just move them around on the sprue, about between 1 and 5 Primaris Marines on a bit of sprue, and it just helps me paint them. But all this sort of sprue, I've got so much sprue. Because I do now and again actually build models that I buy. I don't just leave them in the boxes for ages. Or I do leave them in the boxes for ages, but then eventually get around to building them. I've seen people use this sort of stuff though, the point I'm making. For rubble, you can get yourself a meat grinder, like a mincer, and you can feed this sort of stuff through it. Don't get an expensive one though, because I imagine it might break it after a while. You can feed this sort of stuff through it, and it just breaks it up into lovely little like brick-sized rubble pieces. So there's all sorts of things out there, out in the wild of the world. Things around your house that you wouldn't have even thought of. I've just thought of something else actually that I had a big collection of it for a while, but fruit containers, like the clear plastic fruit containers you get. They've all got like interesting shapes on them. I thought if you just turn them upside down, spray them, give them a quick dry brush, maybe stick a few bits on them, then that'd make really interesting like little bunker or terrain piece, something like that. But I've thrown all mine out because I was collecting them and I had a massive pile, and it's like, you know what, I've got to get rid of it. I'm going to keep buying fruit, so eventually, if I do eventually decide to use some of that, I can do that. I'm a bit of a hoarder myself, so I don't necessarily see the use in something straight away, but I think that looks useful. Is it useful? Could it be useful in the future? And then I'll keep it. And then eventually, once I've not used it after a while, I'll throw it away. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk to you about. Just things, the things you see in the wild. So this episode was a trash terrain episode, if you like. Just talking about what useful things there are out there that you might not realise straight away. I think most wargamers, though, I think they see a value in things. I've just spotted something else under my coffee table here. These, which I intend to use on my Prospero as like big planters, big plant pots, basically, on my Prospero terrain. I went out and bought some plants from IKEA to using them, but I've just not got around to building them yet. Yeah, so this episode was about things. Let me know about some of the things you've thought in the comments below. That would be fantastic. You've thought, you've seen, you've found in the comments below. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Let me know what you think about my things. If you like my things, tell me. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.